Hello. Well, it was only a matter of time, really. What you're looking at here is the FX79, aka Buffalo 2-meter flying wing, and I've been looking at this for quite a while now, and I was very pleased with myself for having resisted the temptation to buy one for so long. And I actually mentioned this to Andrew Newton one time, and I've got to say he was not very supportive of my efforts to not purchase it. So here we are. I've taken the stickers off, as you can see, and painted it in a the top is a kind of an ambulance sort of a colour with cherry red and white, and the bottom has a couple of strips of black on it, as I'll show you. Well, you'll see it when we fly it, if it flies. Hopefully it'll fly. It's pretty ordinary at the moment. There's nothing in there. Let me just put it up on the yeah, this paint, by the way, I was quite pleased to discover this one, because I know that it's not that easy to find a paint that looks good and sticks onto EPO fairly well. But I may have spoken a little bit too soon, because even though it does look really awesome, nice and shiny, easy to use, spreads very well, colours well. I mean, it like puts a nice solid block of colour on, so you don't need to do 2 coats or anything. Anyway, I just think it looks great, but the problem is it's not that great when you put a piece of tape on it, and then when you pull the tape off, I've noticed that it just rips straight off. So that might be the case with this front here, because that's how I'm going to stick it down with tape. So anyway, it's easy to touch up too. You can't really tell, like there's that. I did that to the. I pulled that off with tape and I touched it up, and you can't really tell. Anyway, so like I was saying just before, there's not really much in there. There's a run cam split, no FPV, big battery, ESC, and a receiver, and that's it. So I'm using a Turnigy Aerodrive. I think it's called SK3 3548 motor, and that's spinning this 12x6, I think it is, folding prop. And I have this stiff enough so that I want to launch it without having the motor spinning, so as to not hit my hands. So I have it stiff enough so that hopefully it'll survive the launch without folding back, and when it hits the ground though it will fold back. That's the thinking. So I'm not really going to try and get it to fold back in flight to glide or anything, not today at least, because I don't have one of those little blocker things to stop it from going all the way back like that. So that's why I'm keeping it a little bit loose for now. The ESC is a YEP 60 amp, and as you can see I've marked on there 5.8 volts. The back in this one puts out 5.8 volts, and I ended up not using it. As you can see, I've put another back there, which is a normal 5 volt one, because these servos, or one of them in particular, was just jittering like crazy, and every now and then it would lock up and it just wouldn't move until you swung the roll or whatever it is from side to side quite a bit, and then it would sort of, you know, get back with the program and keep working. But I wouldn't want that to happen in flight, especially not if a flight controller was controlling it, because flight controller would probably take quite a while to figure out that something like that was going on. Anyway, so that's all there is for stuff in there today. I'm just going to fly it around with this big 8 amp hour battery until I either feel the sun a bit much or until this battery alarm starts to beep. And yeah, that's about it for show and tell, I guess. Oh, silly me, how could I forget? There was one part of this that I did spend quite a bit of work on customizing, and oops, not really going to show us very well in there, but the motor mount I heard was very weak, and I recorded some video about what I did with this, so I'll just show you this now and then we'll go flying. About this motor mount, I've heard quite a few people say that it's kind of flimsy and it's not really up to the task of supporting a big motor like that, and it's liable to break on a heavy landing or a crash or something. And I've got to say, it does seem a little bit inadequate. And I also heard that you can get an aluminium replacement of this from a company called Small CNC Parts, I think. But since I have a CNC machine of my own, I thought I could probably come up with something that would reinforce this enough, not as good as aluminium, but probably sort of getting close to that sort of strength, I hope. So the plan I've come up with is to make 2 carbon fiber plates. I cut these on my CNC machine, and I got a piece of PVC pipe from the hardware store. It was a tiny little bit too big, but when I cut that section out there and squeeze it, it fits in just nicely. So the plan is that one of these plates will go inside there, and this kind of matches the pattern that's already there, like that. And then the pipe will go in there, give it a bit of a squeeze. I'm not sure if I'll put this lip, it has a bit of a lip here, so this lip could either go in or out, but I think I'll put it in that way, and that should be fine. And then on this side I will have this one, and this is a bit of a strange shape, but the idea behind this is that you have a bunch of you've got holes and then you've got solid areas, and I wanted to keep as much hole as I could to let air through, but also keeping in mind that when this piece goes onto there, then the air is not going to go through where the motor has solid parts. It's only going to go through the parts where both of these plates have a hole. So this plate is sort of a merging of the bottom of the motor and the bottom of this, the back of this, and it's only having holes where air is able to get through both of these pieces. So I'm trying to keep it as solid as possible, but also let the air through where the air normally would have gotten through. So that's why it's around the outside, is the air can get through there too. So if we put this on the motor, it's sort of like that, and you can see that the outer rim of the motor is sort of just at the edge of that sort of circular hole around the outside. So the exception to that, of course, is one corner has to be the fully open area so that you can get the motor wires through it. So that's going to go on the outside like that, and I think I'll just epoxy this all in place, and hoping nothing's going to break when it's flying. Okay, it's 3 days later now, and I was expecting that this would be nice and dry by now, but it's not really, due to the rather uncharacteristically hot and humid weather that we're having. It's probably the most humidity I've ever experienced in New Zealand in my life, actually. It's very uncomfortable. It reminds me of Japan, except it's worse because you can't just turn the air conditioning on, because nobody has air conditioning here, usually, in their houses. Anyway, by some miracle, I managed to get it so that the epoxy is not sticking up the thread of the screws. In fact, it just sort of slides down there quite nicely, and I'm very happy about that. And the reason, I think, was because I slid a screw in and out quite a bit just before I left it to set, so that's really nice. I think even in its current state it'll be usable. These blobs here, I actually went overboard and I put epoxy on this side of that interior carbon fibre plate, which was unnecessary, so that's contributing to the lack of speed in drying these blobs here. I can actually press them with my hand still even after 3 days, and they squash down like a jelly bean. Anyway, it'll be fine, I'm sure. One other thing that I customized to my liking was the position of the servo linkages. By default, they're on the bottom. This is the bottom of the wing that we're looking at here. And to me, this seems like kind of a daft place to put them, because you're going to be landing on them. Well, kind of. If you're in long grass like I am, you're going to be landing and rubbing onto them and everything. You can put a protective thing there, but it just seems like, why don't you just put them on the top? And this one and the FX79 and the Wing Z84, they all put them on the bottom, but the C1 Chaser puts it on the top, where it's supposed to be. Anyway, I cut out this little piece like that, and you've got to swap sides. So this is the one from the left wing, and it's going into the hole on the right wing, because there's a bit of a sort of a slope to it like that, and that's the hole. And if you do it right, this is just after it's been glued in on the opposite side, the servo should sit nice and flush in there, and the little 45-degree rampy bits like this will be in just the right position, and it looks great. I'm a little worried about the condition of this receiver, because when I came out here just to do a little check, it's okay now, but it was doing this sort of jittery movement like that, and when I turned the radio off and on again, it came right. But it's a little worrying. See, that's okay. It's a little worrying, and I think part of the problem might be that when I was partway through doing this, setting up this wiring, I actually put a full 3S battery onto the receiver. So, well, it was storage charge, so it was about 11.4 volts onto this receiver and the servos, of course, for about 30 seconds before I realized what I'd done and quickly pulled it up. Well, not that quickly, but I gave it 30 seconds of 3S battery, and somehow the receiver and the servos have survived. But maybe I'm thinking the receiver is perhaps a little bit dodgy somehow. because I also noticed that the internal voltage reading that you're supposed to see was not showing, even though it was working, but when it was jittery. Anyway, just thought I might point that out. So if we have problems, it could be because of that. I'm going to throw it directly downwind, but there's not much wind, and I want to make use of this space with the soft grass. Okay, here goes. Whoa, it's very pitchy. I'm going to have to change my rates really badly. That's gliding, motor off. Yeah, I'm going to have to land. I can't fly like this. Low, it's doing okay. Okay, gliding. Okay, that launch went alright, so I'll risk hitting the fence in the mud pile there and throw it into the wind this time. Trim's not very good. I'm holding a lot of back stick here. Feels a little underpowered maybe. This is 60% throttle and it's not really, I guess it's a decent cruise, but I'm going to have to trim a lot. Still pitches quite a lot. I put in lots and lots of expo and reduced the rates, like the end of the end point or whatever you call it, quite a bit, and it's still bouncing up and down. God, it's really hard to keep it just at one altitude. Okay, that's about 50% throttle now. Seems to be able to fly well enough still. No, 60% throttle is where it needs to be, really. And I just cannot control the pitch properly. It's all over the place. God, I don't understand why it needs a ton of pitch back trim now when the first flight it didn't. Okay, now I can fly hands off at last. I had to trim it almost all the way back on my radio as far as it could go. But that feels good now. Yeah, look at that. Haha. Nice. It's quite high up, but it doesn't feel like it is because it's so big. Hope there's no jello in that camera. Right, glide. This is downwind. Turning into the wind. The prop is spinning, I can hear it. So it's probably slowing it down quite a bit. As you can see, it's going real slow there now. Oh, the prop's going to stop, I think. It's going so slow. The prop is about to stop, but it's not. Wow, this must be on the edge of a stall here. The wind has dropped off, there's no wind at all. Man, it just glides forever. It flies all over me. Alright, I think I'll turn the motor back on now, but... Wow, that's a hell of a good glide on it. Oh, I forgot to measure what it weighs at this point. Felt like close to 2 kilos. I'll put that on the screen here if I remember. Yeah, 60% throttle is what it feels good with. It's quite slow. Wonder if I can see what happens when I give it some full throttle. I'll just come back past down front of the trees. Maybe not too low. Right, full throttle. Did you see it speed up? No, neither did I. That's 60% throttle again. Almost the same. Look at it crawling along. So I'm thinking I'll try putting the Xiaomi Yi on here and doing an Arduplane like aerial map mission with the Bluetooth trigger thing that I set up. See how it goes. So for that kind of purpose, you don't want a plane that goes too fast anyway. You want one that's just nice and stable and can fly for a long time. So this is a pretty good one for that, I think. I wonder what the current is. I have no idea. Oh, it's rocking in the wind there. It's the first time I've seen that. I was hoping that it would be fairly stable even in moderate winds, but I haven't loaded it up with lots of stuff here, so hopefully if it was a bit heavier it might be more stable. But there's a light breeze and it's not wobbling around that much. Heading into the wind here. Let's do a flyby. Gliding. Let's try another one. Push my luck. Gliding. Motor back on. Oh. Yeah, it just feels like it has one speed, slow. Can't wait to put hydroplane on this and see how nice straight lines it makes. Oh shit. Can't get too cocky with this pitch still. It's under a lot better control than it was to begin with, but it's still just not really 100% comfortable. Like, I don't feel like I have it fully under control. Roll is very nice though. I wonder if I should move the battery forward a bit. Maybe it's... I have the CG right on those little dimples that are on the bottom of the wings. So that's the recommended CG from the manufacturer. And from what I've seen with people experimenting with different CGs on YouTube, seems like a pretty decent one to use. But see that? It's not bad. Oh wow, that's weird. I'm wiggling the roll stick back and forwards, but it's giving a lot of yaw when I do that. Fly by it. Damn it. No, I just can't judge the how that curve is going to end up when it swoops down. See, right at the last second it tried to hit the fence there. Yeah, just feels a little bit underpowered. That's about 70% throttle, maybe more, just then. So, oh jeez. God. So maybe this motor that I got is the 700 kV motor. I'm thinking maybe 700 was a bit low. It's on 4S, of course. But yeah, I've seen people using 850 and 800 kV motors for these, which maybe I should have done. Would have given me just that little bit more pep, I think. Try to fly by where we don't. Try and keep it in a bank as I come past. No. It's a bit tricky because I got power lines and trees and that rugby goalpost over there to watch out for. Might try another landing just for the sake of it, just to sort of get used to it. Okay, glide. Glide. Oh yeah. It's kind of nice that because it's heavy, when these long strands of grass catch on it like that, it doesn't make it flip around sideways like the smaller planes do. Wow, that didn't quite go as planned. Lucky I'm standing up on this mound here. Let me try that again. There's no wind, so it's not a problem of wind. Glide. What was I saying about grass not being grabbed? I guess you just have to grab it all on one. If you grab it on one side, then it tips you. That's all it is. Wow, I've got to jump on the stick and immediately give it full right roll to stop it from doing that. What the hell? What happened to my all? What happened to my trims and everything? I reckon this receiver is kind of stuffed, because I trimmed it perfectly in that last flight, and now I'm having to hold it all the way down and back just to get it to fly level. Something weird going on. Looks like that landing, when it tipped around backwards, managed to break this. Not very strong, are they? I put hot glue on here and everything. Andrew Newton style. Or well, lots of people do that, I suppose, but that's where I see it most often, and shit, it didn't help.